To order. First up, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of announcements. The brush dump will be closed Monday through Friday through Labor Day. They will remain open on Saturdays. And on Tuesday, August 2nd, the Grafton Police Department will be hosting its annual National Night Out Block Party. National Night Out is an extraordinary way to build neighborhood unity and strengthen police-community partnership. This event will be held adjacent to the police station from 5 to 8 p.m. There are no public hearings tonight, and the first thing is the election worker appointment. So I can take a motion for that.
Sure. I move the board vote to appoint Charlotte Wojcicki as an election worker.
Second. Motion made and seconded. There's motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, because Matt is remote, we are going to have to do a roll call vote. So we'll start with Anne Marie.
Fully aye.
Andy.
Jefferson, aye.
Roy, aye. Matt.
Grafton, aye.
Okay, declare the motion carried. And next up, we have the Council on Aging Director, Town Administrator appointment. If you'd like to.
Yeah, so I think Shannon is here. Shannon, why don't you come on up and sit where you did for the interview?
Sure. Great. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Good. How are you?
Good.
So by way of a little background, we did a pretty thorough investigation or interview process. It's a different thing we're doing. Interview process, and there was 9 very qualified candidates. We actually held interviews with 8 of them. There was a 4-person panel. It was myself and William, Mary Loria, the finance director, and Annette from the Council on Aging. And it was great to have all those different perspectives to look at candidates. But at the end of the day, Shannon was our choice, and you're looking to start August 1st. Mm-hmm. So here's Shannon.
Awesome. Does the board have any questions for Shannon? Or Shannon, do you like to tell us a little bit about yourself at all? Or?
Just a little bit about myself. My background is as a physical therapist, geriatric certified physical therapist. I've been working as a PT for 5 years and been really wanting to get more into community development and outreach, and so I'm very excited to start this.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Does the board have any questions? No. All right. I can take a motion.
Sure. I move the board vote to affirm the appointment of Shannon Smith as the Council on Aging Director.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Fully aye.
Sorry.
Okay. It's going to happen all
Yep.
night. Yep.
So moved.
Jefferson, aye.
Roy, aye.
Grafton, aye.
All right. Declare the motion carried. Congratulations. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Looking forward to it.
All right. Next up on the agenda is update the disability charge with Roger Trahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the rest of the commission, and hello, Matt, remotely. And I've been chair of Grafton's Disability Commission since 2019, and everyone who knows me knows that I do better with prepared statements than off the cuff. So I'll tee this up with a prepared statement. So I'm here tonight with fellow Disability Commission members Christy Proctor and Rob Paulsonelli. And on behalf of the Disability Commission, we're here to request that the Select Board, as our appointing authority, that they amend our charge as noted within our letter and the supporting documents within your meeting packet. This also includes our recommendation to change our commission's name to the Accessibility Advisory Commission. And it's a good thing that commissions, committees, boards periodically review their charge and recommend changes to their appointing authority as appropriate. It not only includes detailing the functions of the committee, but also being mindful of the words we use to describe those functions. And in the case of the Disability Commission, this includes a focus on accessibility and also straying away from the ableist language that we think currently exists to a shift to more culturally sensitive language. And this also would be while remaining within the parameters of the Mass General Law, which allows cities and towns to establish disability commissions, which also lays out their various functions. So last October of 21, Disability Commission established a subcommittee consisting of Christy Proctor and Rob Paulsonelli to review our current charge and periodically bring recommended revisions back to the full commission during its regular meetings, and then finally come up with a final vote and recommendations to you here tonight. So I'd like Christy and Rob to provide additional detail and to answer any questions this board may have. So,
Awesome.
Madam Chair, if you could
Yeah,
recognize
you guys
them.
could come on up and take a seat.
All right, and I'll just stay here. And
You can have a seat there if you want, whatever. We got plenty of seats.
I sit all day, so I may as well stand.
All right.
Thank you.
How are you guys?
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about your work.
So I just want to start by saying thank you for letting us come before here, and thank you, Roger, for those words of introduction, because they're very meaningful. And it's interesting how when we started working on this back in October, we never knew that this would be the month that we would bring this forward for your attention and hopefully approval. So this month is Disability Pride Month. It's also the 32nd anniversary of the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So this month has very historic context for our commission as well as for, I'm going to go wide here and say the world, okay? I think that thank you to Roger for resurrecting the commission back in 2019. We have looked at this for quite some time, chomping at the bit to update the language, because as Roger alluded to, it really described people with disabilities. It described us in very non-flattering terms. Let's put it that way. And it's in your packet for you to read there. Really, the work of Daryl Reining, Bob Berger, Catherine Dorr, Rob, Roger, and myself, and others, Laura Deneen, and others who were on the commission have all worked to really think about ways we could make this more succinct and in line with our vision of what accessibility looks like for our town. So, so last year, Rob and I started working on the subcommittee to update this draft, and Rob and I then brought it forward to the commission. So why don't you describe that process?
Sure. So the primary focus was really thinking about ways to change, and this is in keeping sort of with what the general trend has been, but ways of talking about supporting individuals who do have disabilities without focusing on the disability portion. So the general idea is to really focus on making sure people have equal access and equal opportunity across the various aspects where they intersect with the town government. So it was sort of in that vein, I think, that we reapproached the charge as it existed and tried to make changes to it. And in some cases, it became a little bit structural as well. It wasn't just a sort of simple, like, take out one word and put in a different word. We needed to sort of look at it in a slightly larger, broader scope, restructure it a little bit. But when we finished that portion of it, we came back to the original charge, or the current charge as it exists, and compare that also with Section 8J, the state statute that sort of governs our commission, and made sure that basically all the pieces that were in the current charge are reflected in the new charge. Make sure that everything that we're supposed to do according to 8J is also, again, reflected well in that new charge. And through the work, again, of everyone on the commission, it was a labor of love, for sure. We feel like we got to that place where this revised charge is reflective of both what our responsibilities are in our current charge, meet the requirements of 8J, and also are just basically much more sensitive to the population that we're to serve. So that's sort of how we got here. So I guess we'll open up for questions or thoughts.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or comments?
No, I mean, I reviewed it. It's wonderful. You know what you've done.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I work with this,
I know you
population,
did.
right? Fully aware of, what we need.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys were very thorough and went and did a lot of work. Matt has his hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I've been kind of following along with the reconsideration of the charge, and I'm really pleased that the Disability Commission is actually thinking about their charge. And to me, it means that they're a group that's still highly engaged. They're thinking about their function, and it's a good reflection of the fact that the thinking around that whole topic is changing and will continue to change. And it means a lot to me that they've kind of taken the time out to update their charge to be more current, and to kind of reflect the you know better, you do better. And it's something that I really like to see. I'm really encouraged with the work they've done, and I'm fully supportive of it.
Well said. Yep.
And through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to thank Matt Often for his excellent work on the commission during his tenure as the select board rep. So you did tremendous work during your tenure. So thank you, Matt.
All right. Well,
Just quickly.
absolutely.
Again, echo what everybody else said. I thought it was great that you took on the initiative, and appreciative that you took care with going through everything. And I think in the spirit of, I hope I don't overstep some of the things that we've done with some of the other boards, making sure that there isn't anything that the select board could be doing better for the Disability Commission, or any way we could be assisting you further, or anything like that. Whether you have ideas tonight or if you just want to reach out in the future, I guess I'd remind you that the door is always open, and happy to meet with you guys whenever.
Thank you. I would add that I was pleasantly pleased that Evan, as town administrator, you've been taking initiative regarding the web content accessibility guidelines. That's a huge piece of accessibility that had remained in need of improvement for quite some time. So I'm really glad that that's one of the pieces that's on the move. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
And I think Rob and I would echo that we are here as well with an open door. And please use our expertise. We have probably 60, 70 years of disability expertise working with a wide range of ages and a wide range of diverse, I'm going to say diverse population. And I think it's really critical for a lot of the projects that are moving ahead in town to have our eyes lay on it, to look at different pieces, because the moving parts do impact our population, and I mean far and wide population, because we have visitors who come to the town as well. And I really think that our people who work for the town are our greatest resource and asset. And anytime you would like us to come and do a training to talk about the different types of disabilities, communication, disability etiquette, ways we can support people in a very respectful manner, we would be happy to come talk, and we will make it fun. And meaningful. So
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And being truthful back, I feel like we're in a situation where you don't know what you don't know, and we do our best to try and remember to include everybody in the conversations, but that it's never an intentional oversight or a slight, like anything like that. If because we're figuring it out as we go to and all that, but do our best to make sure you're involved.
thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Andy's point, one of the things that I frequently do, because I'm a nerd, is that I actually read the town report. And I would actually invite anyone to, what I ended up doing is I requested through your office, the Town Administrative Select Board office, to further extract the Disability Commission's annual report that is contained in the town report within our Disability Commission webpage. So 2019, 2020, and 21, I think is a really good read to really get a flavor for the nature and extent and scope of what we do. And I will, while I have your attention, re-advertise that there is a vacancy for a full 3-year term through June 30th of 25. And the deadline is Tuesday, the 26th of July, which happens to be the 32nd anniversary of the ADA. So, and aside from anyone who may wish to mail it to Town Hall, it's my understanding from the website that TA office at grafton-ma.gov with a letter of interest will get you there. I understand there's one person who has applied so far, and hopefully we'll get a good slate of people that will come before you in a few weeks. So,
Perfect. All right, if that's it, I can take a motion.
Sure. I move the board vote to approve changing the name of the Disability Commission to the Accessibility Advisory Commission and update their charge as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Roy, aye.
Often I.
All right, declare the motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So next up on the agenda was the one-day beer and wine license for Holden Sunflower Shanty, but we'll be passing over that tonight and bringing that back next week. So next up on the agenda is the harassment of individuals of protected classes policy update. So Williams worked really diligently on updating this existing policy for us. Just for a recap, this policy was adopted by the board in 2005, and as our process of going through all of our existing policies, we just reviewed and updated this one.
So put that on the screen for everybody's benefit. So as with all of our policies, we went through and we did a complete refresh on all of the formatting to be in line with the new format that we've been using, sort of the style guide that we've adopted. In finding some other examples of harassment of protected class policies, we decided to add clear-cut definitions of harassment and protected classes right at the forefront of the policy so everybody knows what's covered. The sort of the meat and potatoes of this particular policy section has not changed too much. We found that in going through other examples, that's still accurate and best practices. The examples of conduct that may constitute harassment, we went through, we shortened it up to make it more concise. There was about 11 bullet points in the original ones that were sort of all over the place, so we really made a point to make it so each one was clear, you knew what you were getting when you looked at it. We also, per the board's request, added a specific section on social media for protected class harassment, so that way there was no question about that. We know that the town employees are doing more on social media these days. We wanted to make sure that that was explicitly called out in the policy. Procedures for complaints, we went through and we updated who the grievance officer was and the alternate grievance officer to update that, and we made sure to include the entire process for if the person filing the complaint did not want to deal with the grievance officer, if they wanted to go to a department head per the board's request, so that's spelt out in plain black and white so they know exactly what to do. This policy is currently being reviewed by the town's labor council, correct?
Correct.
So we anticipate getting full feedback from him within the next week or so, and anything we get that we need to apply and make changes on, we'll of course inform the board about.
Perfect. All right, does the board have any questions or comments on the policy as presented?
My only question was just that council reviewed
Yep.
it, so that's great, because especially something like this. Okay.
So we did hear back, they're not, I thought we were waiting to get officially hearing back from council.
Yeah, I would not
1 week.
vote on this tonight.
Right.
I have not done a full review.
Okay.
We just wanted to show you the draft as we had it,
Yeah.
so that way,
Because there's
you
a-
could see that progress is being made on
Perfect.
updating the policy.
Yeah, and there's some, a lot of the changes are due, quite frankly, to the progress of time.
Yes.
Right, so HR policy has changed quite a bit between 2005 and 2022. So bringing this policy, for town employees kind of up to 2022, there still may be some things in here that Labor Council has that we don't know yet because they're on that more cutting edge because that's what they do all day.
Okay.
But we think that, the meat and potatoes, as I think you called it?
Yep.
Bones? Okay. The meat and potatoes is pretty solid right now, in line with what other communities around us have in place. So nothing out of the ordinary as far as that goes.
One comment I did want to make is that the grievance officers are both male, and you guys are lovely, but if there was any way, and I know the person's department head could also be a male, and if there was any way to, I don't know, somehow include a female in the reporting process, if they might not have that opportunity.
I think that's valid,
Okay.
especially if it's a
Some,
sexual
whatever it is.
harassment or
Yep.
something, right? That's,
Yep.
I think that's a valid point to make. So we'll
Yep.
think about how to structure that or mention that to council and see if they have any thoughts on how to navigate that.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that's just an update. When we get back from Labor Council, we'll bring this back for a vote.
Yeah, we're hoping for the 19th, but
Yep.
it may slip into
August.
the first meeting in August.
No problem.
Um,
Okay, sounds good. Matt, did you have any questions or comments about this?
No, I heard pretty much the updates that I was looking for in terms of the social media. What does a supervisor or department head actually do? If they get their complaint and they're not the officer that's sort of named in the policy. And then I totally am supportive of your thinking around having a female person in the structure somewhere to just make someone more comfortable to file a complaint. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Making people feel comfortable that they are going to be heard by somebody and that their complaint's going to be dealt with appropriately. So no, I'm good. This is great.
Awesome.
Just one comment. Is it possible to get the old policy, like on some of these? I know you're doing these periodically.
It was in the previous packet.
Oh.
I can send it over to you.
Yep, we do
On
have all of the old
21st.
policies
I know,
though,
it's
so.
probably somewhere. Is it on like the website so that I could
We
find
can
it?
we
Not
can
really.
send it. We can send it to you separate.
Yep.
Just,
Then you don't
yeah.
have to dig.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And when I say we, William will send it.
Yeah. Even if you don't mind, like as we're going, I know this has been something that you guys have been doing going forward, even just so I can.
Yep.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah, we can do that.
And for anybody watching at home, if you go to the June 21st Select Board packet, the original policy is available in there. Okay, so we can move on from this, and the next one is policy review. That was really a placeholder because we thought we might have 2 policies to update tonight. We're going to pass over that, and next week we're going to have lots of policies. It's going to be
Well,
awesome.
do you want to just mention the 2 that we're working on?
I would love to, but I didn't write them down, so William.
There's severe weather.
It's the severe weather closing policy for the municipal center and the facilities fees policy.
Yep, looking forward to those.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Severe weather could have come in handy tonight.
Will and I, when we were going to dinner, we were hoping it was going to play into tonight. Come on, lightning.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good sign that we're getting down to the severe weather policy. That's got to be somewhat far down the list.
I think it's probably more of a symptom of we're looking at the harassment policy, which is really dense, and then Colleen asked for even more policy review.
So I said pick
So
a
you've
easy
got to
one.
pick ones that are a little low hanging fruit, so we can
I
actually
see.
survive. The week.
I want to
Okay.
get them all done, Matt. I gotta get them all done.
All right. No, I like it. It's
Yeah.
good. We're making good progress. Let's keep at it.
Yeah, there's been a really big dent made in updating policy, so we're moving right along.
And having them available on the website is wonderful, so that if people want to find a policy, they can find them, which
Absolutely.
is great. All right, up next is betterment loans, private septic system assistance, and we had discussed this previously, but this was kind of before the election, so this would be new for Anne Marie and Andy, and Evan's just going to give us a quick update on where we are with that.
Sure. So there is what's called the Community Septic Management Program through the Commonwealth. And essentially what it does is outlay for any local municipality the ability to create a betterment program whereby if you were buying a house, let's say, and it had and the septic had failed Title V, you could apply for a betterment through the town. The town will then put that money in place for you to do your septic, and then you're assessed that annually on your taxes for the most common number is 20 years. And so that you pay that back over 20 years. Unless you sell the house, then that whole nut gets paid back in one shot. That's the gist of it. The main point to having this is to decrease the risk of public drinking water contamination, because the highest rate of, or the biggest culprit of public drinking water contamination is failed septics and sewer systems. So in reviewing this, there's a multi-step process that we have to go through to get this to actually work. I met with Mary Loria today. She believes it's probably 3 to 6 months by the time this actually comes off of our plate and back into the state's plate, and then we don't know how long it takes on that level. We do have 2 communities that we're reaching out to see what their timeline looked like, and also maybe find out where the pitfalls were for them to help us navigate better. But basically, it is we would be applying for financial assistance from the state revolving fund, the SRF, it's called, and so it's part of the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. We have to pass 2 articles at town meeting to apply to the Clean Water Trust, and then, which we have not found any record that we've ever done that, which is interesting because this program existed in Grafton before. So either we just haven't found it yet, or the program might have changed because it was more than 10 years ago. So maybe the way that they've done this has changed. So the first step is to go to town meeting for vote to adopt these 2 things. Then we have to go through our bond council. The treasurer has to go through a legal process to be able to apply for the funds. We have to do different regulatory and financial agreements that basically say, you're going to give us revolving fund money. We're going to give that to the residents of Grafton at a 2%. Currently, the rate is 2% interest rate. We're going to collect that money, and we're going to send that back to you, the state. And so we have to have all of our financial guidelines in place, which it actually works out really well because, as we'll talk about briefly when we get to the TA update, our new VADE, our fiscal management software, has a betterment program built into it that should really help us with this. Then we have to have our green light letter and so on and so on. I won't go through every step because it is quite a process. It involves finance director, treasurer, bond counsel, regular counsel, myself, and board of health. So at the end of the day, once we've done all of our jumping through the hoops at the state level, people would apply for this through the board of health. Board of Health would review their application and make sure that the need exists and that they're in an area that is of environmental concern, which pretty much all of it will be if you look at where you are outside of the septic district. I mean, outside of the sewer district. And then they can make a determination whether or not to move forward with the application or not. The other neat function of this Clean Water Trust is that part of the program is if you're in the sewer district and you buy a house with a septic system, you can do a betterment for the sewer hookup to get you off of the septic system.
Oh, super fun.
So it just gives us a little more flexibility of how to run this particular program. Mary and I have started maybe like the 35,000 foot step in reviewing whether or not we've accepted 111, 127B and a half. And if we have not, then that has to go to fall town meeting.
Okay.
So that we can do that. And I'll work with the 2 communities that we have selected as having really the best programs and see if we can steal their warrant language since they've already been all the way through this process.
Would it hurt to plan for a fall town meeting either way since?
No, we're gonna plan on having it on
Okay.
there because worst case scenario, we don't need it, and if we were too late to
Right.
figure that out, we can skip over it, and if we're in time, we just pull it from the warrant. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I think we have a pretty good handle on the steps, and so we'll be moving forward from there.
Awesome.
So would that apply, you mentioned like for someone purchasing a house, is it also for folks in the house with a failure? And then what about when frequently this comes up on the selling end, right?
So the selling end doesn't work.
It won't work.
Right. So a lot of times what you'll see is, and we see it quite frequently, is that, there's Title V and there's certain timelines in place. You can buy a house, with that as is, where is, but you have X number of days from the closing date to replace that septic system. And so it's probably a better program for those people.
Right.
Or for the people that are aging in place, remaining in their homes.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's probably a bigger contingent.
Yeah.
Because a lot of your deals, no one wants to buy the house and then pony
Right,
up 30, 40, 50 grand out of pocket.
Right.
So I think, one of the areas that I would like to target is, those seniors that are aging in place, that want to remain in their home, that are now faced with this aging septic system. I mean, my own family. My grandmother's 94. She has a septic system that was put in at nighttime because my grandfather didn't want to do any permits.
No.
So it was all hand dug at night. Oh yeah, it was great.
You know this is being recorded, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. It's in Ludlow. They're not watching this.
All right.
So
Now you even identified the town.
it's fine. She's 94. What does
Narrowing
she
it
care?
down.
What are they gonna do? I work for the government. We're not gonna do anything to a 94-year-old lady. So she but you know, she doesn't have 50 grand to out of pocket in this old farmhouse from the 1800s to do all this work.
Right.
So this would be a prime example of how to do that, because then the town has the lien on the property, right? It's recorded at the registry of deeds. So when in this case, you know, my grandmother being 94, she passes away, that house goes to sale. That lien is the priority that gets paid off out of the proceeds of the sale. So that's how that money comes back, which is great for people that are aging in place, because you know, they're maybe not gonna pay the whole 20 years back. They can get a reasonable payment amount annually on their taxes that they can then continue to maintain their home,
Yep.
which is great.
Yep.
Home run.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm most excited about.
All right. Is this the grandma you said that watches our meetings?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I'll
you just
probably
told
be in
us her age and everything like that?
Yeah.
She's gonna love that.
trouble. Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Graham.
I was gonna ask if you called her something special so we could all
Yeah.
give a little.
Her name's Victorina. Yeah, she'll catch up.
All right. So that wraps that up. And then now we're going to move on to goals update. This is just a general discussion of the select board goals that were created prior to the election and where we are now, and just get us starting to think about goals again, because we typically update these in the fall. So I know we just handed the printout just tonight. Well, I don't know if you want to pull it up on the screen for people following along at home.
Yep.
Is there anything that jumps out to anybody quickly, or do you guys want to go over each of these, or how do you want to do this?
You want to just go down the list?
Sure.
Does that work for you?
Couldn't see who you're talking to. Is
Oh.
us
I
or
was just kind of talking to
Oh,
everybody.
okay.
All right. So the first one was to establish a diversity and inclusion committee. The last I think we knew about that was we were maybe going to do a study and kind of looking at that.
Yep, and we just completed the RFP. I think last week, Dr. Cummings had gotten back to us saying that he liked the language of our RFP, and so we can move that forward in the next couple of weeks to get that posted and see how that plays out.
Perfect. Then we completed the next goal and on to continue reviewing policies and uploading the website, which we know we're all doing. It's definitely my favorite goal. Rebuild the website for accessibility and modernization. Do you want to give us an update on where we are with that?
Sure. I actually had a meeting with Civic Plus last week. They're starting content migration to the new website this Friday. So we've got a general skeleton of what we want the site to look like, and now they're going to start pulling all of our old agendas, minutes, the pages, select board, the committees, all that stuff, and putting it up on the new site.
Perfect.
Yep.
Very exciting. Improve citizen communication. So we updated the code red. We're doing more specific code reds with certain things. I know when it came to like spraying, at one point there was a West Nile alert that went out to a specific neighborhood, things like that. Is there any other updates we've done?
Yeah, there's mostly around water, sewer type stuff, and we target specific neighborhoods, so you're not, blasting South Grafton for some really, out of the way neighborhood in North Grafton. So we've been doing a lot more of that.
Nice.
We have not done AMA sessions or done an electronic suggestion box.
But that could maybe go on the new website.
That's what I'm thinking.
what are AMA sessions?
Ask me anything.
Okay.
Establish an ongoing relationship with the Grafton Upton Railroad. They will actually be in our next meeting, so we'll update that as that goes along. Establish an ongoing relationship with Tufts. I know Evan has been out there for at least once, if not more than once, right?
I've been out a couple times
Yeah.
since we've done this, and the chief and Chris McGoldrick attend, I believe, their quarterly meetings, and I'll be able to attend them all from here on out. So I think let me also put a plug in for John Allen He has a great relationship with the folks over at Tufts. We're trying to do that shared ARPA project with Tufts. I think we have a great relationship, to be honest with you. With the staff that we interact with on probably a monthly basis, we get along great. Things go real smooth. So I'm really happy.
Perfect.
Was there a reason? Go ahead.
Yes, Matt.
Let's see. I had a couple of things. I'm wondering, with the website work, are they going to provide mock-ups, and are we going to get an opportunity to kind of see what the look and feel is proposed to be? I'd be interested in just from a formatting and a user experience standpoint. At some point, it would be nice to see where we're headed with this. It's a fairly significant investment, and I think just a little bit of involvement from the board might be appropriate. Second question is, I'd like to see us do some of the AMAs. So if we could think about over the next 2 or 3 months, just getting some kind of program organized, even if it's not quarterly, to just get going on those. While I'm speaking, it occurred to me that the select board now has a new person reporting to us. So in terms of, as we knock off goals, I think this year one of our important goals needs to be creating some type of, operating relationship with the new fire chief. So I'd like to see something on for that. And I guess the last thing that I had was just, I would like some focus put on, I know we're going to be looking at some financial projections. I'd like definitely to have something on for this year. One of the things that I was very much interested on coming onto the board was financial management, and we've done a great job, I think, with policies. We've done a great job with updating our financial software and sorting out the chart of accounts and a lot of the kind of financial anomalies that existed previously. So that's great. But now I think we should be in a position with the new software, with the new capital management program, with the chart of accounts understood better, and a lot of those kind of nuts and bolts and mechanical pieces taken care of. I'd like to see some focus on actual financial projections and longer term financial management. So I know that was a lot. You asked.
As far as scheduling an AMA, and this could be a terrible idea or a great one, I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. What if we put a table out on August 2nd at National Night Out and let people come up to us and ask us anything?
That's a terrible
I
idea.
know. I prefaced this.
I would. You could certainly do that. I would just defer to the chief, because he does the layout and he's got his plan. So
Yep.
If the board is interested, we can certainly reach out to the chief and ask him.
Well, let's start there. Is the board interested in doing something like that?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to join something like that?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we'll schedule our meeting to do that, and hope for the best. It's gonna be great.
Can we get a dunk tank for Evan?
The school has a dunk tank, don't they?
I'm coming to the AMA.
Get it
I'm just
on
gonna
loan.
shout random questions at you and see how good you're doing.
No, we'll put you up in the dunk tank, and any answers people don't like, they get
They
to throw
can dunk
balls
me?
and take a chance to dunk you. Yeah.
And so, just to back that up, so the AMA was the intent that it was the select board that was fielding the question, like doing
Oh,
the
yeah.
asking me.
Yeah, these are our goals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do that all day.
Yeah. Just confirming. Okay.
No, we've talked about doing AMAs on our end too.
But if the point is to improve citizens' communication, there's a huge turnout that night, and let's just do it.
Just be there.
There is.
All right.
Sorry, one question before Matt had spoken on the Tufts goal. Was there a reason why that was identified? Because it sounds like things have been going well.
If I recall correctly, it's two things we learned during this process. One is that the staff and I need to better promote the work that we're doing on a
Okay.
daily, weekly, monthly basis so that the board knows that that's ongoing. And I think Tufts kind of fits that mold.
Okay.
But also that they are a potentially, not potentially, they're, even though they're a non-tax paying entity, they're a huge economic driver for the area in terms of jobs, people needing housing. And what our relationship has really turned into is that we support a lot of their development because a lot of their development has impact outside of their campus. So, for example, this will come down the line. They're looking at some potential sales of some property, which then comes on the tax rolls, but that the entities that are courted to do this type of development also have, you know, tentacles that reach throughout the country. So it, you know, we're fostering that kind of economic development to bring those people in. So it's kind of a combination of those two things, I think.
Perfect.
The website,
Yep.
because that's where Matt started. If we could circle back to that.
Totally.
So we have actually two answers to Matt's question. Yeah. So the first is once they start migrating all the content over in a couple of weeks, we will get essentially a private link to a test of the homepage that will be fully, you know, we can interact with it. We'll see, you know, the slideshow with the photos. We'll be able to interact with the calendar and all that stuff. And that we'll be able to share around for feedback. A couple of days ago, I did get something from our Civic Plus rep, a guy named John Larson. It's fantastic. It's essentially just the wireframe of what the homepage is going to be with gray blocks that say content here, picture here, calendar here. So I can send that around or pull that up, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Matt, do you want
Will
to
it,
see that?
Will, is this modeled off of another town?
So the interesting thing about Civic Plus is they don't do templates. All of their websites are custom builds. So we went through probably a dozen other towns' websites and said, you know, we like the way their news and announcements look, but we really like their calendar, and we like the top of their page, and we like the bottom of their page, and put it all together.
Oh, fun.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think as far as getting that in front of the board, I think we should wait till we have the functioning homepage to send around to all of you, or pull it up. Send it around to all of you and pull it up in a meeting and take any feedback you have for the tweaks. But we've kind of already kicked the can past the wireframe stage into
All right.
the give us a mock-up and we can tell you what we like and what we don't like. Because otherwise it's really just gray blocks on a screen, which, you know, I think Matt probably has experience with, but not everyone does. So
Yep.
maybe when the buttons can be pushed, it'll mean something.
Makes sense. I guess last question on the website. So yeah, be interested in getting I'll look at that as soon as possible when it's appropriate. I guess the other thing is a very common complaint about the website is just the finding things. So has there been thought or initiative put into search optimization and finding important documents and whatnot? Is that because I think the current one is just kind of based on, it's like a Google thing that just doesn't seem to work very well. So is that something we should expect significant improvements in?
Yep. So with the type of upgrade we're doing, we're going to get a whole new document center where everything goes. And there are examples of this online already. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to find what you're looking for. And another complaint that we've heard is with the calendar. That's going to be completely redone too, so there's going to be a lot more usability, and finding things will be easier with the new site.
Okay.
I think when you get a look, Matt, at the document center, the way that this lays out, it should help both with the way that not only a search engine crawls the site, but the built-in search function of the website works, as well as, quite frankly, make it easier to just open up that panel and go, oh, that's where I want to go, instead of clerk's office. I don't even know what the clerk does. So how do I know I have to click 3 more times to get to my marriage certificate? So
I
bringing
guess
some of
that's
that
the
stuff to
thing.
the forefront.
I've found a lot of times with when you have a website where people visit very infrequently, which tends to be the case with the town website, right? They want to find what the permitting process is for installing a new deck, or some really to that person should be a very straightforward thing to find. To expect them to navigate through link after link to find something that way oftentimes is really unreasonable and particularly challenging. So it's just the search feature becomes really important, where I just want to put in deck permit and have the process show up in the first handful of results, so that I don't have to page through 15 different links and documents and all that kind of stuff, and that things are current. So anyways, we don't need to cover this too extensively, but it's something that I'm motivated to try to, make it as good as it can be.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right, next was support affordable housing, and we've done some of that. The standout for me is we had suggested doing 2 annual joint meetings, so I would say the next one would be sometime in August or September. So I guess I can reach out to the chair and try to get that scheduled, have them come in and give us another update. Anybody have anything about that? Okay. Focus on economic development. We did pass a new charge, and I think I would say we've kind of accomplished most of this, but the LRRP and other villages that I don't know.
No, we haven't even started that process.
Okay. Additional tax relief for programs for seniors and vulnerable residents. I think the betterment loan is a great example of that.
Yeah,
So-
we've also done other pointed things at town meeting to give relief for seniors and veterans. Some of it is ongoing because the town already had that, so it was just a matter of finding the MGL, making sure that we have it in place, and making sure that people are aware of that, or that our staff is aware of that, so that we're helping people find that program. And I think we've done that. And then you're right, things like the betterment program I think would directly impact what we're talking about there. We have not done anything with aging friendly community in any major way yet, but it is actually one of the discussion points we had at the interview process. So it is something that we're very cognizant about pursuing.
Awesome. Staffing assessment.
Yep. So we hired our almost town administrator. We are hiring 1 police officer over the next 5 years. We're actually 1 year ahead on that schedule. We have restructured our planning department and included this is called the staff planner. We decided to call it the assistant planner because we restructured other positions and we're able to free up some job titles. So we don't have an assistant planner yet, but we're working on it. Hard position to fill.
All right. And increase community focused events, and I think the 4th of July parade is a great example of that. We can't take credit for it, but we went to it.
You were there.
We supported the idea behind it.
Right.
So yeah.
We continue to do that individually as well. There's plenty of times where we've all volunteered over the past few months at various community events. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Juneteenth, I think, was a good one too.
Pride.
Yep, exactly, Pride.
I think that one area that we've not addressed, which was called out in the plan that I think would particularly be helpful, is creating a subcommittee of some kind that reviews parks and playgrounds to help support rec in their mission and better understand the quality and condition of the parks and the structures that we currently have, as well as the things that we're potentially missing that we could go after. I think that would be a really good thing to get up and running.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to be on that.
Yeah, that sounds super fun.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Just yell, Matt. I'm
I just
sorry.
think
Oh,
no, it's no worry. I'm wondering if maybe that would combine well with the Trails Committee that's being put together. Seems like a somewhat similar mission.
Yeah, if we brought their charge back and reviewed it and see, nope.
Not really. Just only because I'm on that
No?
open space and rec, and I kind of worked on that, the trails committee. So I would say not really. It would be, I think it would be a little
Okay.
bit of a disservice to this particular notion of the parks. Because the trails committee is going to be a little bit more of a, not so much a liaison, but trying to, oversee all of the groups that are already looking at trails, right? Through, say, conservation, land trust, etc., and trying to, not combine them, but like, I don't know,
Right.
bring them together or whatever. And I think this is a more of a specific committee that wouldn't have, I don't know, trails wouldn't really pertain to this, in my opinion.
How
Not
quick,
sure I'm able to
I think it's a fair point.
adequately.
It's not something we have to quickly
Yeah.
do today, but I think, and especially because if this is the idea here is to support rec in, again, understanding what they have, what they need, what we're missing. We talk about pocket parks in here, right? So you draw a map and you point out where every single park is, and then there's no parks in this area, so can we do a pocket park on a small parcel? But those type of conversations to support rec in their mission, I think if you're going to do that, that's a conversation that probably starts in the fall for rec, because they're out straight
Yeah.
all summer.
okay.
So I don't think that I meet with Jen every 2 weeks and we talk about parks and playgrounds and things like that. But I think now is not a great time to be like, hey, got another committee. Why don't you?
But would now be a great time to come up with the charge and
Oh,
and
absolutely.
advertise
Sure.
it and get membership so it's up and running for the fall?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a fair point. Yes.
Alright. Perfect. William, you're writing down write a charge for subcommittee.
Well, and it's just a
I
subcommittee.
can.
So I think
I also have thought of something else I need to do.
I would just recommend that stays really tight.
Oh yeah,
We don't need like a 7 or 9 member
No.
panel. Like,
and it's
'cause
not
you,
going to
you
be.
want to be able to get, in a car or two and go from site to site and listen to what Jen has to say and put physical eyes on what we have.
Makes sense.
Cool.
All right, and then, before we know it, we're going to be coming up with new goals again because that was what kind of October time frame.
I think it was October. Yeah, end of October, maybe.
All right. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the goals?
Did you come up with these like in a meeting? Like we would have a discussion like this?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a lot more informal. We all just kind of throw out whatever we're thinking, and then it's usually done through 2 meetings, and then Evan will put it in a nice list and try to.
Yeah, what we
Organize it
did
for
last
us.
year is we went up to, we met in here and then finished the formal, that part of the meeting, then we went up to G, which is just a big open room. We had stuff stuck on all the walls and the whiteboards, and we did a SWOT analysis, and we looked into all that stuff. So it's kind of like a guided brainstorming session, as almost like a mini strategic plan, and just worked our way through it. And I think it went pretty good. Besides the owl,
Yeah, the
sitting
owl.
in my butt for 45 minutes.
We should
what?
do it in the.
I put it too low. It was the first time I'd used it,
Oh.
and then I stood in front of it. So when I talked, it just focused the
Oh,
camera on
filming.
me. But it
I
was
see.
literally at butt height for 45 minutes. You can find it. It's on YouTube. It's
I'm all set.
I watch it all the time.
We should do it at the GCTV conference room
Yeah, that would be good too.
because there's boards and everything like that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Alright.
Sure.
Okay, so that's all for the goals update. Any select board reports?
I have one.
Great.
So we are wrapping up the Library Building and Planning Committee. We have moved off the Massachusetts Public Library Construction Grant Program waitlist. The Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners met on July 7th and awarded their provisional construction grants, of which Grafton will be receiving $7,435.41. Excuse me. Down to a few remaining issues that we hope to address and have wrapped up within the next month. We'll be reaching out to, if they haven't already, you and Evan, you and William. Sorry.
I got it. I figured it out.
It worked either way.
Yeah. To try and attend one of the next couple meetings as we transition out of the committee and shuffle it back over to you guys on the municipal side.
Awesome. Yep.
So
Look forward to it.
Perfect. All right. Any other reports? Nope. All right. Moving on to town administrator report.
Sure. All right. So, we are working our way through our Vadar transition. Seems like we've been talking about this for a long time. It just went live July 1. So we're only 11 days into it. So we're still hitting the unforeseen glitches. We're training staff. We are pretty mired down in all things Vadar as we make this transition. Because there's a lot of things that you can't pull the trigger on until the other software is done and this software is live. So that's been a real focus around here, with pretty much every department head involved in that in some way, shape, or form. And once that is stabilized in the next, say, month or so, then we're going to start working on, we have to migrate the chart of accounts and make it jive with our line item budget so that we can start our budgeting process, tie the capital out to it, and all the rest of it. So actively working on that, but that is a huge time-consuming project, which will pay dividends once we're done with it. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Will already talked about the web content migration, so I won't go over that. We did receive word that it looks like I don't have any official document that I could lay my hands on, but looks like open meeting law remote participation will be extended through December of 2023. So that's the word that's going around from the legislature, but I don't have a specific document to give you. As soon as we get it, we'll send it out. We appointed 3 new full-time officers. They will be in here on the 19th at the beginning of the meeting to say hello and introduce themselves and so on. So very excited about that. It was nice to be included in the swearing-in ceremony and meeting wives and moms and stuff. It's pretty neat to see people that excited about their new role. So that was fun. Just a quick update on the composting. So William has been in contact with the folks at Black Earth about other communities, and we've reached out to other communities to see exactly what their program looks like. We've also gotten pricing on pallets of the containers, and we've done one other thing. What was the third thing? Drawing a total blank. It worked with DEP about how to implement our, what's that?
The RDP grant?
Thank you.
Yes.
Too many acronyms. So we're getting pretty close, I think. Starting to get all the ducks in a row, and then we can pull the trigger on the pallets of stuff and figure out where that's going to end up and things like that. So, hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have a more finite frame of what that program looks like and how we can use our money to maximize that for people.
Great.
So we are making progress on that. We're also applying for 3 grants right now. One is an ADA accessibility grant. We've applied for $250,000, or we're in the process of doing that, to finalize the accessibility counters in this building, the ADA accessible counters. So we've done, I've done 1 since being here. There was 2 already done. So we have 5 left that we'd like to see installed. So we're going after a grant for that. And then we're going after 2 different Maya grants. One is a Flex grant, which we've already been awarded $7,300. $7,150. And what are we using that for?
Cameras.
Oh yeah, cameras. That was my idea. And we're gonna.
Evan, what's Maya?
Maya is the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Agency. So it's our insurance company that
Evan,
does.
what's Maya? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, times 2.
Yes, I know. I figured it out halfway, and I was like, oh God, Matt, killing me. I was gonna say it again too. So the Flex grant we're using to upgrade the cameras in this building, hopefully, moving to a cloud-based system, and the risk management grant. What are we doing?
We haven't really hammered that down yet, but we're looking at some HVAC repairs that need to be made. We're talking to Mr. Berger about that right now.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Nice. It's a lot of stuff you got going on. Thank you.
We do.
Any questions or comments? Nope. All right. Moving on to correspondence. Was there any correspondence that any board members wanted to discuss? All right. There were two that stood out to me that I wanted to just mention. We received some correspondence about 59 Pleasant Street, and I don't want to get into the specifics, but I just, going off of what Mr. Trahan said earlier, we just want to be mindful of our words. Correspondence that the board receives does make it into a packet, and we just want to be, civil with how we're corresponding. And then there was another bit of correspondence about Sunflower Shanty, but since we were passed over that and we'll bring it back next week, I figured we can kind of cover that next week. All right. One second. Yeah, you're fine. All right. No resignations, and up next is public comment. You just got to come to the mic and say your name. Change your mind. All right. Does anybody else want to have public comment? Is there any?
Actually, I do.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Hello, Tyler Holden. I just wanted to know the complaint you got, how that's like, we're going to talk about it next week. If next week's the 30-day, and that was over noise and all of that.
So next week you're on the agenda twice. It's to talk about beer and wine and an update about
Okay.
your music license, because we told you we wanted you to come back after about 6 weeks. It's been a little over that to hear about what the progress you've made for sound mitigation and things like that.
Okay.
Does that work?
All right.
Okay. All right. Anybody have their hand raised on Zoom? Perfect.
Nope.
Okay, so we have a couple of meeting minutes I can take a motion for.
You, I think you need to amend one.
Yes, the July 5th, I was a nay on the 59 Pleasant Street. I just wanted, it was documented that it was 4-0.
Yep.
Right.
Perfect.
I move the board vote to approve the meeting minutes for May 3rd and July 5th with the following amendments. Update line 275 of the July 5 minutes from motion passed 4-0 to motion passed 3-1.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Roy, aye.
Often I.
Declare the motion carried. All right. And we have no reason to go into executive session, so we can adjourn this meeting, and I can take a motion to do that.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Foley, aye.
Jefferson, I.
Roy, aye.
Often I.
All right. Thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
Night all.